Assalamu alaikum jami'an. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's my honor and pleasure to welcome you today to this panel discussion in which we will be discussing mega projects in general and mega projects in the UAE in particular. With me on the panel today are three distinguished speakers who each in his own right is responsible for one or two or more mega projects. Engineer Faris Mazrouei is the CEO of Dhaheri. Dhaheri is the company undertaking the planning, design, construction, and ultimately the operation of the federal rail network in the UAE. Next to Engineer Faris is Engineer Yousuf Bastaki from Emirates Global Aluminum, one of the largest aluminum producers in the world. Mr. Bastaki is the Vice President of Projects. Last but not least is Engineer Ahmed Dhaheri, Chief Commercial Officer of Emirates Steel, which is the only integrated steel plant in the UAE. They produce rebar, wire rod, and heavy solutions in the latest rolling mill technology mill. As we will be discussing mega projects, I will start by Engineer Faris and ask him to give us a brief in 2 or 3 minutes about the mega projects that he is working on. We all know the name of the project, the Dhaheri Rail Network. We want to hear from you the size, the magnitude of this magnificent project. Please.
I'd like to start by saying that Dhaheri was formed in 2009 officially to manage and develop the construction and operation of the UAE National Railway. It's 1,200 kilometers in size, and it will be part of the GCC network, connecting from Al Ain to Oman and connecting from Wafa to Saudi Arabia. The project is going to be divided into 3 sections. We recently completed 264 kilometers in Western region. We're under operation trial now, and stage 2 is about to be awarded. It's 628 kilometers, and stage 3 will follow, inshallah, to the northern Emirates, connecting to the ocean through Fujairah. And if we connect to the GCC by the end of 2018, we will manage to connect to the ocean through Mina Suhab.
Engineer Faris, will it be passenger service, freight service, both?
The network is designed for two, for freight and for passenger. For freight at a speed of 120 kilometers, and for passenger 200 kilometers per hour.
So we're going to see a train connecting the
Yes.
Emirates of, so I can travel by train between Abu Dhabi
Yes.
and...
It's a regional network that will connect the main cities and the rural developing cities, and there will be passenger stations as part of the plan.
Thank you, Engineer Faris. Engineer Yousuf, I want you also to take 2 or 3 minutes to tell us about one mega project you're either working on now or have just recently finished.
Thank you. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, and good morning, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I think I would like to really thank the organizer for this successful event. Although I wasn't able to attend yesterday, but I heard a lot of good news, and I think that's a first step toward a continuous sequence of such project management meetings and conferences. And I'm very proud to be here to contribute to this event in my humble way. What we have done since 2007, we started, and we're now in the very closing stage of one of the largest smelter was built in the world. And this is aluminum smelter that took about 7 years to complete in 2 phases. The budget was $10 billion, and it was successfully completed ahead of schedule, below budget, with an LTI frequency rate of less than 0.02. We had, at one time, a peak of 20,000 people on site. We've completed 90 million man-hours, and we had people working from 15 different countries, we had an EPCM companies, had 500 project managers on site. We had an owner's team who was leading this project of about 100 people from different countries, but proudly we say that 30% of the owner's team were UAE national engineers and project managers. We have spent many resources from different parts of the world, but I'm happy to say that 50% of the capex was spent inside the country, utilizing the UAE contractors and the UAE experts.
Thank you, Engineer Yousuf. It's really impressive to hear that your project was completed before time and below budget, and I'll come to that in a later question. Engineer Ahmed, also tell us briefly about one or more of the most important projects that you were involved in with Emirates Steel.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. This is basically when our parent company Sana'a decided to begin a significant and durable upstream business. Basically, it's an expansion program launched in 2006, divided into 2 phases, and basically to establish a solid integrated steel complex in Abu Dhabi. Just to understand the magnitude of the project, it comprises of 11 different plants that are capable of producing 3.5 million tons of finished products. It is spread over an area of approximately 2 square kilometers, and it has a value of 11 billion dirhams. Now, talking about phase 1, it was launched in June 2006, and it was completed in 3 years' time. We were honored actually to have His Highness Sheikh Hamd bin Zayed, the Crown Prince of Abu Dhabi, during the inauguration. And by completing this project, we managed to reach 2.5 million tons of finished products. And we have spent around 4.5 billion dirhams for phase 1. Phase 2 started even before that, before we completed phase 1. And this is basically when our leaders, they saw the significant achievements on the ground. We managed to finish the project in 2.5 years this time, and even the value of the project was much higher, 6 billion dirhams. So what were the objectives of these projects? Basically to establish a solid basic industries that can participate and contribute to the diversification and industrialization of the country's economy, which is also in line with Abu Dhabi's Vision 2030. Also to catalyze downstream industries by forming what is so-called clusters. And finally, to establish a solid and a state-of-the-art steel company that is capable of producing highest quality products, services, and solutions. Now, where did we reach with these projects? Today, we are the first, as you said, the first integrated steel producer in the UAE and the largest in the GCC. We are also the first steel company to produce nuclear grade in the Middle East, and we are also the first steel company to capture CO2 in the world.
Excellent. Thank you, Engineer Ahmed. So you'll be contributing probably to the nuclear reactors that are currently being under design and going to be built soon in the United Arab Emirates. Engineer Faris, your project is really large in size, going through desert areas and so on. I want you to tell us what are the unique features that this project have when it comes to size or when it comes to its location within the UAE, different types of terrain and so on.
I'll use stage 1 as an example. 264 kilometers of stretch in the middle of nowhere. People might think that it was easy to construct a railway network in the middle of nowhere because there are not as much stakeholders as there would be in a city. But it was a challenge because in the middle of nowhere you don't have as much facilities. This was one challenge. 264 kilometers is not easy to manage within a certain time frame. We had to divide the network into 26 construction fronts, 10-kilometer sections, and each section is considered a project. Mobilization, having the staff being there, the cut and fill that we had to go through. We went through, for stage 1, up to 80 million cubic meters of sand that we had to relocate. And that's an achievement by itself. Within 18 months, we managed to move the first train from the main depot into the waste terminal, and that's an achievement by itself. The areas that we went through were divided into major sections. You had areas, the sub-khaflat areas, where we had to deal with Benuna forest environmental issues and the rain season. And then the other side of the network was in Liwa, where you had to deal with almost 80-meter-high sand dunes. So that was the challenge we had in stage 1.
Stages 2 and 3 will come up with more challenges, I'm sure, and I'm sure you will be more than capable of dealing with them at the time. Thank you. Engineer Yousuf, what challenges did you face? Your project was completed on time and within budget, which I find very impressive, but you must have faced some challenges, so I want to hear from you.
Okay, how much time I have? You know, when you talk about the challenges changes with the project phases. As we move into project phases, the challenges also will change. And also challenges sometimes changes with the environment around you. What we had in 2007 was a very difficult time for us. The challenges was shortages of resources, and the challenge was shortages of material because of the peak busy time for the market. And we went actually through both cycle of shortages of resources and the crisis that happened in 2008 afterwards, and the turnaround with majority of contractors going bankrupt, and we were left very worried about the project. Now the main challenges even before that was the environmental health and safety of the workers and the people, and to comply with the international requirements of making sure that you have an industry which has no damages to the environment. And the compliance to the environment was a big issue for us, and big challenges that we managed to mitigate and to continue monitoring the environment around us. And with the safety, of course, when you have many people coming new to the country with little knowledge of safety and education in the safety, especially in the industrial construction, we had a lot of challenge to make sure that these people understand what kind of standard we want to run. And it took us many millions of hours to look at how to continue educating the workers in different ways, different manners, for achieving what we had achieved, which is really a remarkable achievement with all in spite of all the difficulties that we had and the short time that we had to build such a huge smelter. The other thing was the schedule, how to really make sure that the contractor performs at the right time with the right resources in order to be able to achieve the milestones that was set in the beginning of the project. So in addition to that, risk management was another issue for us because we went through two different harsh cycles during the project, and we had a big team working on mitigating plan A and plan B and plan C for every risk that was identified during the project, with the risk management plan in front of us all the time. The other thing was really how to make sure that the people that you have continuously motivated and continuously passionate for the job, knowing that this smelter will produce 1.4 million ton per annum, which is, as a single site smelter, is the largest in the world. So to make that happen in the right time was a very, very big challenge, and we were successful in looking around and making sure that we, at the end, as a team, achieve that objective.
Thank you, Engineer Yousuf. Very impressive. Ahmed, what other challenges would you add to what Engineer Yousuf has said? You are in very similar fields, industrial projects, huge aluminum smelter, huge steel plant. So what other challenges did you have in your project?
Well, I will touch on some important, let's say, challenges that we went through, and the first one was infrastructure. So the first question you ask, yourself, how you are going to import your raw materials. To be economical, in our case, we need to bring it in gigantic vessels that can take 170,000 tons. And this, just to give you an idea, is the size of 3 football pitches. It requires a draft of 20 meters, which is not available here in the country anywhere. So we had actually to come up with some to study different solutions, different scenarios, and we needed to be somehow creative. And today, the situation is the vessel comes, but it anchors 70 kilometers away from our plant. And we start doing something called light bridge operation. So we move the material from the big vessel to smaller vessels. Of course, this has a cost, and ideally we would really look for a deep sea port. However, we had actually to adapt with the situation we're in. Second challenge, I would say, utilities. Now, to have an industry which is new to the country, it always comes with unique characteristics, and these characteristics has to be addressed properly by service providers. Third, I would say human resources. We've been through the same period Engineer Yousuf was talking about. We had actually to recruit around 800 engineers and technicians for our first project. And this was a very challenging project for us. We had to do recruitment campaigns all over the place, just to make sure that we have the right skills available to run the plant. And finally, the point I want to share with you, gentlemen here, ladies and gentlemen, is availability of EPC contractors. Now, if you talk about residential infrastructure, maybe we have local expertise. But if you talk about oil and gas industrial sector, then this is dominated by international players. And they will always depend on local subcontractors. If you don't have the right manpower, you cannot really manage your project. In our case, we had actually to bring an army of people from outside just to complete our project.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Engineer Ahmed. I would like to go back to Engineer Faris. You just mentioned that you almost completed stage 1 of the project, or phase 1 of the project, and you're now going into phase 2. What would you do differently based on what you have gone through in phase 1? What would you change in the way the project is managed, is awarded, or something like that? What?
The one main thing we should not lose focus of is the mission of the leadership, the vision of the leadership and the mission of our team. The strategy of the company should remain the same. From that cascades down what we did in stage 1. Try to have more partners sign with us. We were successful for stage 1 to have the oil and gas companies sign with us, stage 1, invest with us in stage 1, and we managed to deliver the first section. We need to have the buy-in of other stakeholders. We currently have agreements with Emirates Steel, we have agreements with the ADPC, military recently. We recently even signed MOUs with, beyond the UAE, with Saudi Arabia Railway. MOUs going to happen with Oman Railway. Knowledge transfer, more transparency. We're one team, and we need to be on the same page when it comes to strategy to develop this network.
Excellent. Well, good luck with the second stage and the following stages as well. Engineer Yousuf, you obviously consider your project a successful one. You completed on time, within budget, with very good safety statistics. So what contributed to the success? What do you think made it successful?
Very good questions, and I have been asked these questions many times. People don't believe the records that we show, and they always tell me this is unbelievable, it's untrue, and they come and check our records by many auditors, and they come again with the same questions. How did it happen? You know, I look around and I see there's so many factors that really lead to this conclusion. And it's not only one factor. But the most important of all is the people. Do we have the right people in the right place at the right time or not? Do we look at the people's motivation and passion for achievement or not? If the dedication and commitment of people are not there, no matter how much strong your project management system is, no matter how much budget you have, no matter how much schedule you have, it will not happen. So I really look around and I always go back to the same point, is that really the people that was part of the team and everyone contributed with commitment to the role that they had to play in the right time, with the right effort, and that's what really made the project happen. Because at that time people knew that this was the project of the globe, and the achievement of which would not only be the achievement of the organization or the achievement of the shareholders, but it will be also an achievement of individual that he will be proud of. And that's what really drove the whole team together in one alignment. Not to forget, of course, the support of the shareholders themselves and the alignment between the different levels of organization with the same objective and goals, and the full trust that was given to myself as a project director from the shareholders, saying, yes, you go and we are after you. No matter how much challenges we had met, at the end, what we have recommended was always approved at the end, and with full support and trust. And that's what really made it happen.
This theme came up yesterday with the importance of the role of the executive sponsor and his involvement in the project and his support of the project, getting approvals quickly, getting things done, getting all the right decisions at the right time. It's very important from the top level management so that the project stays on track and does not deviate from it. Engineer Ahmed, what else can you add as success factors in your building your plant?
Well, I would say the project sponsor. This is, from my point of view, is the main success factor. The sponsor who can provide you with the right support whenever it's needed. The sponsor who can provide you with the guidance, with the empowerment, and also trust. This basically facilitates fast decision making. It basically gives you the authority, and I would stress on authority, to make sure that you take decisions in order to move at the right speed. A second success factor, which I believe is really important, is being capable to set up a team who are capable to manage the project, but also to operate once the project is completed. You will make sure that those teams, they live the project itself, and they review every single bit of it. So they will not only focus on completing the project on time, on budget, at right specs, but they will make sure that they focus on higher availability, higher productivity, availability, reliability, and so forth. So basically, this makes sure that you have a smooth handover and a smooth transition.
Yes, it's an excellent point, actually. One of the main points when you are building a project is to not only think about when you're going to finish the project and hand it over and you're happy, but you have to think about the performance of the asset that you have just delivered to the operator, whoever it is, with what a lot of people call RAMs, which is reliability, availability, maintainability, and safety factors, the KPIs and so on that go with this, so that you make sure that the project is satisfying the benefits that it was built for. Well, I'm actually very proud to be among the three of you young national CEOs and vice presidents. And I would like to hear from you, starting with Engineer Faris, about what you have done in the Emiratization of the workforce of your project. what was the percentage of the UAE nationals within the team, and what efforts did you take to develop these UAE nationals to be leaders? Obviously, you are one leader, but what has taken place for the others?
Our Emiratization rate as of today is 43% in the company. We've been continuously talking to universities, schools, inviting people into Dhaheri, take them to site during construction, to educate them about rail. 40 years ago, no one considered aviation as a career. And today you have institutes in the UAE that teaches aviation. It's our mandate, part of developing this network, to educate the community and guide them into the rail business. 43% is the Emiratization rate currently. We have a joint venture with an operator today, the largest in Europe, Deutsche Bahn, and we have set programs with them. We recently came back from Innotrans, and part of our trip is to visit their academy. We're talking to other entities such as Thales. We're talking to entities in Saudi Arabia. They have a current program, an 18-month program. So it's an evolving task that we are focusing on, and our management are focusing on as well.
Excellent. Yes, as the future, of course, belongs to Emiratis, so that's why we're all keen on developing the UAE nations. I will switch this time, and I will ask Ahmed first about Emiratization efforts, percentages, development programs.
Well, this was a project by itself, I would say. When we wanted to ensure that we have certain percentage of young engineers participating in the project, we came up with two programs actually. One which was short term, so we went ahead and developed something called a National Development Program. We recruited 25 young engineers, and we engaged them in a 7-month program abroad. So part of it was theoretical, and the other part was practical in similar steel plants. However, we had also to work along with our educational institutions to develop tailor-made programs. So what we did with the higher colleges of technology, we developed a 3-year diploma program on steel plants operations, as well as mechanical maintenance. So it is basically about sponsoring them, and you have, let's say, on yearly basis, students graduating from these programs. We managed also with Petroleum Institute to develop a 5-year bachelor degree program in metallurgical and material science engineering. We also clubbed hands with Institute of Applied Technologies to cover the technicians level. So now we have our own workshops, our own training centers, just to make sure that we have the right nationals on our workforce. Today, we are proud to say that we have around 400 Emiratis working for us, and we have also
How many?
out of 2,400. So basically, this is more or less 20%.
20%.
20%, yes.
Excellent. Engineer Yousuf, again, the same question. What percentage of the workforce is UAE nationals, and what are you doing to develop it and to increase that percentage?
Let me talk about first Emirat Global Aluminium, which combines the two big companies, Dubai and Emirates Aluminium in Abu Dhabi. The total workforce, about 8,000 people, out of which a little bit above 20% are nationals. The difficulties that really would challenge us this day of nationalization is the harsh environment, and the majority of the workforce is at the plant level. But we are much more successful in upper management nationalization rather than the workforce at the ground level. But nevertheless, we are really having a lot of development program in different phases for qualifying nationals to work even at the floor workshop level. But let's talk about the Department of Projects, which we are just taking the lead in developing not only the projects inside the country, but also as an Emirate Global Aluminium indicates future growth outside our boundaries, for which we need to have a core team of project management that can go and lead the projects for the AGA. We have currently within our owners team about 30 local project managers at engineering level and above, which we are very proud that they are really progressing and getting developed in a very rapid way, that we can say they can be project manager in a very short time. Not because of what we provide, but it's because of what they provide. They come with the motivation and passion for achievement. They understand the responsibilities that is on their shoulders to show that they are the UAE nationals and they are in charge of the millions of dollars that they want to spend, and to show the growth of UAE not only in domestic way but also in industry field. The job is not easy, the job is tough, it requires them to be at site more than 10 hours a day, but we see the new generation are coming with a momentum for giving more than taking, and I see that some of the nationals that I have within my department are very keen to learn quick and fast, and they are willing to take responsibilities rather than waiting for responsibility to come to them. And this is really a nice indication, and we have learned many lessons from this development, and we're trying to incorporate new generation as we move into the years of development. And people are hearing about our achievements and our successes, and they're even getting more interested into the aluminium industry and what the aluminium industry can provide. And knowing that now EGA stands at the 4th largest producers of aluminium in the world, after US, China, and Russia. So we are among the largest countries in the world of producing aluminium. So we need more nationals, and we want their commitment to make this industry is the successful industry for not only the UAE but also in the global eyes.
Thank you, Engineer Yousuf. Finally, to wrap up our session, I want to ask each of you to give the audience and myself words of advice about things that we should do or we shouldn't do in managing mega projects. Please feel free to tell us things that should not be done. It's also a good lesson learned. I will start with Engineer Faris.
Working with the right partners is very essential. Sharing expertise is also important. We've been working closely with NTA, National Transportation Authority, with the Department of Transport in Abu Dhabi, and RTA in Dubai. And sharing the knowledge and experience and expertise is very, very important. There is an existing network here in Dubai, and we've done sessions with them, lessons learned for stage 1 and for their networks in Dubai. This was important to have. We have lessons learned with the Saudi Arabia Railway, and we're going to have soon sessions also with Oman Railway. The last thing I would like to close by saying is maintain your vision. What are we supposed to develop as Ittihad Rail? To develop a network that will support the economic growth and the social development of this country. This is the vision of the leadership, and that's what we're here to do.
Thank you, Engineer Faris. Engineer Yousuf, what advice do you have for the audience?
I think for people who work in projects, they have to understand, first of all, what is the ultimate objective? What are the KPIs that they're going to really achieve? And to beat the KPIs is more important than to achieve it. So I would really encourage the team to all be aligned with those KPIs. We don't want people to misunderstand the KPIs. For example, I had a situation where someone came and told me, so what is the driving for this project? Is it a cost or a schedule? And this is really means we are not aligned, because cost and schedule should not be compromised for either one. We have a cost ultimate budget that we have to maintain, and we have a schedule that we have to achieve. So there is no price for either one KPIs. The second thing is to be always focusing on the vision, and not to really miss the support of your superiors. The project sponsor and the shareholders have to be always kept really in view of the projects and where it's going. Third thing is, the most important thing for me, is to make sure that you have the right people and the right place, and you have the people that are motivated for the job that they are doing. And as soon as you feel that you sense that that individual is not motivated, no matter how much qualified he is, and no matter how much skilled and experienced he is, if he's not motivated for what he's doing, or he is under his current capabilities, then you have to take action, because that can really damage the whole team. What I think you should not do is to avoid noises in the project team. If you hear noises, and you know this noises has not...
What do you mean by noises?
By noises, it means sometimes rumors comes around and really misalign people, or misguide people, or mislead people, which has no factual relevance. And people sometimes build on these rumors and make it a big bubble with no facts. And that's really a dangerous syndrome for a project team to go off track. So my always advice to my team is, any rumors you hear, please make it a non-rumor by looking for facts. And the sooner you clear these rumors, the better for the team. The other thing which I would really want to say that not to do is not to make a hasty conclusion or a hasty decision when you are under pressure. Make sure you take your time and you make the decision, even if it takes 12 hours more to do.
Thank you very much, Engineer Yousuf. Engineer Ahmed.
Well, I would agree with Engineer Yousuf. I would say choosing the right people to start with, because they are the real asset. Whether they make it or they break it, you need to hold them accountable, and you need to start with really the right people, for sure. I would say also to spend sufficient time on planning things, on planning your project. By doing so, by completing, let's say, the feed, which is the front-end engineering, you will be enabled to have a well-defined scope. By doing so, this will result in a lower, let's say, cost, a faster execution, and also you'll be enabled to increase efficiency. Also, I would emphasize on the importance of value engineering, especially for projects similar to the ones we are having in the industrial sector, because you shouldn't really, it can easily make a project which is non-viable to a viable project. If you start, let's say, looking on how to optimize the project, on how you try to outsource things, how to exclude all the bells and whistles, which are not usually required for industrial projects, you can really make things different. And in our case, we managed actually by doing so to lower our cost by 20%. Finally, I would say risk management, how to identify risks and how to come up with the right response strategy. And my advice here, you need to listen to every single member in your team.
For risk identification and response planning, yes, excellent. Ladies and gentlemen, I was very honored to moderate this session with my three distinguished panelists. I would like to thank him very, very much for the insights, the information, the experience that they have shared with us. I would like to thank the audience for sharing this session with us. And to wrap up, thank you all very much. We now break for 15 minutes, and then we will continue with the next session within this room. Thank you all. Thank you.